Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going across to our second debate. I'm moving you right in. I want my first speaker. This is on strategic universal relationships. I have in the antagonist side, Mwanza, Chungu, and Francis. On the defense side, I have Wisdom, Macmillan, Edward, and Tiezi. I want you ready. First speaker from the antagonist. Kick us off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So I'm presenting on strategic universal relationships. I think from our side, I think it's quite obvious, and we'll put it to our unlearned members on the left, that we are not of the view that strategic universal relationship strategy is working as intended. It's quite evident, even just by the numbers, when you actually look at our numbers, our performance numbers, that we really have struggled in that one particular area. And we put it down to a premise of we basically thinking in 1 year cycles. We don't typically think as a bank throughout the long-term life cycle of a client. We typically think in 1 year cycles. And basically, we basically think in 1 year budgets. And as a result of that, we typically operate in a silo fashion, and basically, in what's in it for us. So we tend to basically approach things in a very uncoordinated and efficient manner, which basically is at conflict to what we're actually trying to do under the strategic universal relationship strategy. So if you just look at a few key facts. Of the 4 UFSO universal target names that we have for this year, in terms of account penetration, we're less than 3%. This is 3% across in excess of 4,000 employees. That tells you that there's 97% of business that we've actually left on the table. Secondly, none of those top 4 UFSO names that we've been trying to drive and extract value from as a bank are anywhere near the top 10, nowhere near in the top 10 revenue earners under both CIB and PBB. In terms of what we've been trying to do with our fintechs and strategic partnership collaborations, we haven't fared well there either. In terms of the telco space, we've only penetrated 1 out of 3, so that's a 33% penetration rate. And we've basically been aspiring to get to about 90. In terms of exploiting the regulators as a mode of extracting value out of strategic universal relationships, regulators such as ZICTA, who we can mine for data and use that data to basically position ourselves with our clients and provide the solutions and the product offerings that they're actually looking for. We've done nothing in that area. In the areas of utilities, again, we've fallen behind. I mean, outside of ZESCO, I don't think we can talk about any other utility that we've managed to onboard.
Time. Thank you. So a question for you. You said these are the numbers. We've done 1. We can. Why haven't you?
Why haven't you?
You've told me what you can. Why haven't you?
Okay. So we spoke about this as a team, and I think the first thing that we need to before we even start talking about transitioning onto an EE platform, I think is we really need to look at the basics. So in terms of delivering a strategic universal relationship strategy, in terms of people, are we adequately skilled in, or do we actually have the right people in place that actually understand what a UFSO actually means? Culture, that's another issue. Do we actually have buy-in? Do we have buy-in?
My question to you, I've asked the question, you're posing it with another question.
Sure.
Why haven't you? Is it the people? Do you have the right people?
Okay, I think from our perspective, I think why we're probably not driving UFSO in the right manner probably boils down to reward and recognition as a simple starting point. Because people are not being rewarded.
So I'm going to take it as that. We'll explore that as we go. You're saying it's reward and recognition. Interesting as a starting point. It opens up some further questions. Let's hear from the other side. I'd like to go to the defense. We've heard the opening arguments from antagonist side. Protagonist, let's hear. Over to you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the starting point is exactly where our colleagues have left the conversation. The conversation is universal strategic relationships remain very relevant. We have been making strides by, first of all, beginning to have those relationships, and where we have not completely mined the opportunity, therein lies the opportunity for us to continue to engage in the ecosystem or ecosystems of our various partners. If you give MTN as an example, which was also touched upon, we are already having them where they are keeping their float with us, their major account. We have the push-pull solution where we're able to push funds between ourselves and MTN, and our clients to use MTN to withdraw money or even to deposit and then push to their own accounts. We have a relationship where we are enjoying the services of the mobile phones for our staff. We use their data links and so on and so forth. This can be said for Liquid Telecoms. We even have other examples which are going to be shared by my colleagues in the likes of Lumwana, Lafarge, where we bank the relationship, but also we provide workplace banking services by extending loans to their staff. Yes, we are at a point where we have not completely exploited their value chains, and that's the more reason why we need to continue to focus on this pillar. And by the definition itself, universal, it then tells us that where we are going to is where we are universally approaching a relationship, not only banking the primary, but even the satellite value-adding activities that are linked to that particular parent. And in talking about culture, and strategy is also about looking forward. I can give an example of a Salesforce platform which has been touched upon, which obviously is one of the, if you like, strategic tools that we are going to use to drive universal strategic relationships going forward, which already has a lot of relationships over and above what we have been physically trying to comb through and having relationships with clients, understanding how their business work. The solution is going to already provide all that information, and with the analytics that are inbuilt on the solution, we will actually see how much gap we have in terms of how many other relationships we can exploit that exist. So if looking into the future, and that of course requires for us to be ready from a culture perspective as a bank. I can confirm here we only joined the Salesforce initiative rollout as the 13th bank in the group, but we are already number 4 in terms of the number of rangers that we have actually ascribed.
I'm going to pause you. Thank you very much. I see there are a couple of points of interest coming through. What I want to do just before I take them formally is I'd like to go to this round's panel. I've got Ngoza, I've got Mawundwa, and I've got Lena. Ngoza, let's start with you. You've been listening to the first arguments on either side. Your comments, please. Let's hear.
Thank you. So I think the comment that I would definitely make is that we need more specifics. When we say things haven't worked, I think we need to drill into why they haven't worked and the solutions around that. Is it a question of silos? Is it when we say we'll center our, we'll focus on a particular client, there's still an issue of silos? I'm dealing PBB, I'm dealing CIB. Those are the issues we need to raise. What is causing it and what are the solutions? It should be very clear what the solutions are, and I'm not getting that. Thanks.
Thank you. So some very specific guidance coming in from the panelists. Can you get specific? Can you get clear? Let's go across to Mawundwa. You've been listening to first arguments. What are your impressions?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think just aligned to what Ngoza is saying. So a lot of things have been said, but in terms of what are those specific outcomes and levers, what can we pull to make sure that we are best in class in terms of UFSO. So I think maybe just to make it a little bit more pragmatic, what are the few things in terms of your initial arguments that you would like to, tangible things that you'd like to see as outcomes? And I think that's where, if you just put it to the top floor, what would you like to see as solutions? Then that I think would drive us in a good direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lena, I see your hand is up. As my third panelist, what's your take? You've heard opening arguments. Where would you like to see it go in the second round?
Thanks, Mr. Moderator. I think for me, really, it's again, I'm seeing ourselves getting drawn into, pardon me for using this word again, rhetoric. I mean, since I have been here, we have talked about MTN, Lafarge, and I think Ministry of Finance as being our target UFSO customers. I don't think any one of us here can confidently say that when MTN wakes up in the morning, they think of Stanbic Bank as its core banker, because we're still competing for that space. I like that one of the speakers mentioned 3% penetration. So again, we're not cutting to the chase. What is the problem? We've talked about culture. What about culture? I understand it's about rewards and remuneration. I want to understand a bit more on that. We talk about data and ecosystems that the pro guys are saying the ecosystems have been explored. How do we expect to explore ecosystems when we've been talking about data? We've been talking about data as a project for the last 3 years. Our data is still not being, there's no economic benefit to the data because we're still talking about it in project mode. So does it mean we need to get the ecosystem data into a project mode as well? At what point do we say that we've got data that we can commercialize, I can't think of the correct word, that we can use today so that we can understand exactly what is happening in our customers' space? And what do we need to do differently? Because from what I'm hearing, we're okay. I don't think we're okay, because if we're okay, it will not be MTN and what's the other one? And Lafarge only. Those will be out. We'll be bringing in more names. We are still talking about MTN. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. So there's some words going around in my head and I'd like to just share them. Are we too comfortable? Are we complacent? What's the difference between today's world champion and tomorrow's world champion? Tomorrow's world champion is working harder. Their sense of urgency, their hunger, is it sufficient? I'd like to hear in the next debates. Let's go to second speaker on the topic. Thank you very much. Strategic universal relationships is what we're talking about. Second speaker, you have 5 minutes. Over to you from the antagonist start.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll take up the second argument. And I'd just like to emphasize the fact that we're not the A student that we think we are. And we've still got lots of ground to cover in terms of building a truly strategic universal financial services play. If you look at the data across the bank, we're less than 14% penetration within our key ecosystem partners. National Milling less than 5%. Trade Kings less than 1% of an opportunity of over 4,000 clients. NRFA less than 5%, 1% out of an opportunity of almost 1,000 clients. Key things that we need to change is, of course, the culture. We need to begin to shift from a product or segment focus to a more client and universal kind of thinking when we engage our strategic partners. But that requires skills. We need to reskill our teams and ensure that they begin to think more strategic, more ecosystem play, and of course, most importantly, put the customer at the center. Thirdly, we need to look at our systems, how we measure, how we quantify, and how we capture the ecosystem opportunity. That, of course, talks to investing in proper data capabilities to support that view. Lastly is around the reward. People only focus on something that gives them reward, either intrinsically or explicitly. We need to put in systems which recognize those colleagues who are behaving and conducting themselves in a strategic manner. Thirdly, we also talked about strategic alliances as part of our commitment. Currently, what we have the problem is that we don't have a coordinated approach to dealing with key ecosystem partners and key ecosystem sectors. As an example, we don't have a plan on how we access telco data to monetize it and use it to come up with new opportunities. We don't have a clear platform play on how we engage big tech and fintech players. We don't have a clear platform play or ecosystem play or how we engage public institutions like Zicta. What we should be looking at, of course, is embedding data as we form the relationships. Beginning to bring data into our business because it's impacting our customers is something that we need to be looking at. As we accelerate our platform play, of course, be clear and be intentional in what the customers are telling us they want to see from us as an ecosystem player and as a universal bank which is bringing everything together. Currently, we're allowing ourselves to be influenced by potential ecosystem partners. They're dictating the terms, they're dictating the game, and we're just following through and leaving opportunities on the table. Lastly, we need to look at how we leverage big tech. Salesforce is an opportunity which has come into our space. How are we intentional about using that as a platform to extend our ecosystem discussion? We've got Amazon, we've got Microsoft, we've got Ant Financial Services through our Africa-China leg. We should be leveraging these ecosystems to begin to bring the universal bank together. Lastly, when we talk about COVID, we let a good crisis go to waste, and that actually exposed the cracks within our execution of our universal banking relationships. What COVID has shown us that we don't have strong payment capabilities. Our clients are still going into the branches to deal cash. With a strong ecosystem play, all these should have been integrated on one platform where payments are made digitally end to end. Lastly, COVID has also exposed that we are not able to respond with agility. Again, when we are onboarding clients remotely, the design is that customers should go to a premises to onboard clients. Under COVID, you can't send people out in the field and put them in harm's way when they can be exposed to COVID. In a strong ecosystem play, our employers, our partners, should be able to create those retail accounts from the comfort of their offices and be able to bring an integrated ecosystem without having to send our salespeople and our sales teams out in the field. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I think a universal play, currently we are probably a D or E student. We've got lots of ground to cover, and there's specific areas I think we should be focusing on for us to really become an A player and begin to lead the market. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Well done. One word for you. If we were to change one thing, choose one word and say, what do we need to change? Pop question, one word, what needs to change?
The thing that we need to change is our culture and our thinking, because the technology just expands and magnifies what we're really thinking.
That's many words. I need one word. Give me one word.
Culture. Change our culture, and then the technology.
Thank you. All righty, let's hear from the other side. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Second speaker. Thank you very much on the other side. Over to you.
Thank you, moderator, and good afternoon to everybody. With regards to what we have done on the universal strategic relationship, which is a very key and important pillar for the bank, there are 3 key areas that we need to look at. One being through the UFSO, which everybody has been talking about, working through the ecosystem strategy and analyzing the value chain, and obviously working with other key stakeholders who may be outside the bank, but are very key strategic partners, although some of them could be our customers. If we talk about working through the UFSO, we have identified as a bank, and here I'm not talking about silos, we have identified as a bank key customers that we were working on. And these key customers are 15 in number, coming from CIB, between CIB and PBB. These are the customers that we have focusing on. We are understanding their needs, and here it's more around understanding the customer needs and providing the solution for the customers. Some of these customers include the likes of Coca-Cola, the likes of Engen, Nyumba, Omnia, and the government of Zambia, the Lafarge, Zambia Sugar. These are key main customers that we have identified. For example, if you look at Coke, we are talking about a key stakeholder to Coke, and these are the distributors. If these guys can buy more product from Coke, it means Coke is also growing. So we are helping the distributors to support this. So this is the work that has started, and I think also important is that the strategic relationship is journey. I was earlier alluded to. This is an ongoing journey. Every year, every time things are changing. So we continue engaging with the customers, key to us, identify key stakeholders who has but most of the work. And then there's what we call working through the ecosystem strategy. Ecosystem is how we grow our business. We have indicated that our strategy is to grow through the ecosystem. There's nothing like knocking on the door, but we will have to go through the ecosystem process. The ecosystem is where we understand our customers, understanding the golden triangle of our customers, and then look at the value chain. Through the engagement of our customers, we then focus on the value chain. The value chain is what is key for us to grow. First of all, you must ensure that the ecosystem is happy. The golden triangle is perfect. Then you can start looking at the value chain, and that's very, very, very key. The other one, obviously, which my other colleagues spoke about, is working with other stakeholders. This is very important. We cannot deliver solutions without engaging our other stakeholders. I'm talking about the likes of MNOs. Here we're talking about the push-pull. This is a solution for our customers, but we are working with other stakeholders like the MTNs, the Airtel, and this is very, very, very key. We're talking about Probus. These guys are our key strategic partners. They are providing solutions which our customers have asked for. Based on the insights that we had, we then approach Probus to provide a solution. For example, Probus is giving us solutions around eTax. Probus is giving us solutions around eNAPSA. Probus is giving us solutions around Lusaka Water Utilities and eTOL. So these are key strategic partners that we need to work very closely with. Yes, the penetration may not be that much at the moment. Like I said, this is a journey, and the journey is already started. I end there, moderator.
Thank you very much. Edward, I have a question for you. Tell me, do you have an opponent in Zambia that is of comparable magnitude? Is your opponent in Zambia big enough? Are you competing against a big enough opponent?
We have opponents or competitors against the bank, but what I can say at the moment is we are leading at the moment. Yes, there could be some that are trying to catch up with us, but we are leading at the moment.
So my question is, do you have somebody of a rival nature? Do you have an opponent that is big enough to compete, to stretch you? Are you being stretched enough? You've shared a number of positives. You've told us what you're doing. Are you being pushed enough?
Yes, John.
Yes, we are. We've got opponents, obviously, that push us very hard. And these are other institutions where we fight for the same business. So we've got clients who are very picky.
All righty. So, Edward, you're saying, yes, we are. We'll open it up. Thank you very much. I'm going to take us into the floor. Let's have a look. We're going to open up. I'm going to give you 7 minutes. I'd like to hear the thoughts. Sabrina, you're indicating first point of interest coming from? Perry, thank you very much. Point of interest, over to you.
Okay, so great insights and information coming from both the teams. So I think the major issue that needs to be dealt with here is that in 2018, we were given a number of UFSO opportunities and relationships that we could take advantage of as a bank. If I recall correctly, the number was in excess of about 120 or so. But here we are 2 years down the line, we're working on 15 companies. Great start, since those are our key clients, but 2 years down the line, I think it's a bit of a concern, because where we should be now is we should have a picture of what will it look like in 2020 at the end of the year, total number of relationships that would have mined out of the UFSO, total number of staff would have opened accounts for suppliers that they supply them, distributors that also they also look after. So the question and concern I have for both teams is, what does the roadmap look like? What do the numbers look like? Do we have a very clear picture of what we're mining and where we'll end up in 2021, 2022? Thank you.
Perry, thank you very much. Who would you like to answer that question?
Protagonists.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have, thank you very much. I'm not sure where those statistics came from, Perry, but we have a very clear strategy at the moment that we are following. And let me just put something very clear. The 15 clients that I've mentioned between CIB and PBB is not a static figure. This is an ongoing figure. What we've just said is that at any one time, we will be working with 15 names. What we had to do maybe we had that figure, which you've just mentioned, but what we've recently done is to go through the process again because we realized it wasn't working. We went through the process again and realized that we had too many names on the table, and so we need to focus. And the focus is exactly what we've achieved now. We've got 15 UFSO names between CIB and PBB, and those are the names that we are focusing on. We have CSTs, which are called customer service team sessions, every day of three days in a week, looking at ecosystem, looking at UFSO. We discuss these names every time, and many CSTs are held, which are then identified the opportunities. So there is a very clear strategy. We are very focused around this. We know what we're dealing with.
All righty. Thank you, Edward. Next point of interest coming from? Wisdom, thank you very much. Point of interest,
yes,
that's here.
Just to fortify my colleagues' comments, we are building on a foundation, and if you talk to the stats, we are aspiring to be around perhaps 10% going towards 2021. So you Sinohydro, the likes of Sinohydro already have penetration of almost 11%, but you see the others are like Lumwana, ZRA, ZESCO in single digits. But you don't abandon strategy if it is showing progress and promise. What you do is you increase by adding the necessary resources and changing what is not making that opportunity be mined. So with the culture issues that we've talked about and what we are doing there, and then the platform that is going to also aid our ability to exploit this pillar more, we are saying the strategy is still relevant, but we are building on the foundation that we have laid. We are not discarding it. We have made progress relative to what we wanted to achieve up to this point. But is that where we want to be? No, that's why we are here, to do more.
Thank you very much, Wisdom. Right, Sabrina, next point of interest. Say again for me. Pembwa, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to find out from the protagonists, in terms of ownership on the UFSO drive, who exactly is responsible for the whole drive of the UFSO? Because you find that probably if you're looking at a product that is under PBB, you'll find that you'll be tossed to the PBB guys. Even within PBB, you'll be asked to see workplace banking. So do we have a central point where all this data and analytics are driven into, so that even when you need to find out on that information and probably explore those opportunities, you have just one contact person and one person who can at least bring that forward? And also, secondly, on the skills, is it possible to have probably, usually you have different people going to talk to different things when you're seeing a client. Is it possible to have some kind of training where possibly one person would have knowledge on workplace banking, one person has knowledge on trade and all that? Thank you.
Remember, thank you very much. You're asking the question, can we do it? Can we do it? Let's hear from the other side. Can I have a response? Yes and yes or no? That's here.
Let me answer that. Yes, we have points of contacts. The clients, when you're talking about UFSO, you are talking about clients sitting in CIB and PBB coming in to support those clients. And therefore, we go in as one bank as opposed to two different business units. So we go in as one bank. So we have key contact people within CIB, and then we have key contact people within PBB as well. So in terms of contact and where you can go, that is very clear. We know the contacts are there. With regards to skills, as you know, if I talk around the other side of the bank, which is PBB, there are unique skills that we have there where people talk about, where people specialize around workplace banking. We have trade specialists, and we've got people who are specialists in cards. So that specialization is there from the other side. And I know it is also there from a CIB side as well. So when we go to see a customer, we go in packs, we hunt in packs. And the idea of hunting in packs is to spread and deliver the message around our resourcing, around our offering, and around understanding clients' requirements.
Edward, thank you very much. Two more questions. Let's go. Yes. Tresford, over to you. We haven't heard from you. Welcome. Tresford. Tresford, you still with us? Pressford going once.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we've heard all the good things. I think my question goes to the protagonists. I just want to know whether we've optimized the opportunities from the ecosystems that we are working with, the existing ecosystems currently. Have we optimized all the opportunities in those ecosystems? And have we, what are some of the leads that we've taken account of in those ecosystems as we interact with our strategic partners? Have we taken note of any leads that can give us more business and probably even move from one ecosystem to another ecosystem, which we are not currently saving, so that we can optimize the results and get the benefit realization that we are looking for? Thank you.
Pressford, thank you very much. Let's have that response, and we'll close off the floor with that response. Who's responding?
Mr. Speaker, I will start, and then maybe Eddie or anyone can add. But indeed, we are trying to optimize as much as possible, especially those that we started with. We've come through the ecosystems, the likes of Lafarge, which I talked about. The good example I can give you now is that we are not yet there, but if you look at the MNOs, we have an opportunity there because a lot of them still come and deposit cash in the branch network. So part of that ecosystem, we have not yet seized it. And what we are doing is to try and have a reciprocal arrangement where they also have accounts with us so that they can deposit cash through our CDMs, ATMs, and then push their e-float to their respective e-wallets from a bank account. Then they will not then be coming into the branch network. We are not where we should be in terms of optimizing, and that's what we just said, but we have laid a solid foundation where we can start from, and we need to exploit that foundation further.
Thank you. Mwenza, I see your hand coming up. I'm not going to take more. I'm going to keep us on track time-wise. I'm going to go to the closers for this particular topic from the antagonist. You've got 3 minutes. Wrap it up for us, and then I'm going to go to the bench to tell us what their feelings were of this debate. Closers from the antagonist. 3, 2, 1. Over to you. Start.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Distinguished panelists, thank you. As you have heard from the details that have been presented from a UFSO perspective, we're certainly not there yet. We need to get back to the basics. We need to think differently with regards to how we are dealing with UFSO, mainly around just from a people perspective, and 3 main things. It's the culture, it's how we are monitoring the UFSO, but also how we're rewarding our teams. So from a culture perspective, we need to embrace the new way of thinking. We need to show up as one to the client. Frankly, the client doesn't care whether you're PBB or CIB, whether you're TPS or IB, whether you're business banking or personal markets. Client does not care. So we need to show up as one to client and make sure that as we are solutioning for the client, we're actually solutioning as one bank. What will be able to enhance that is how we are monitoring. If we're not monitoring at a product level or not monitoring at a business level, and looking at the client with a 360 view. And when we look at a client with a 360 view, it's not just about the client, in this case, maybe an NRFA, and looking at NRFA, it should be the NRFA, the corporate, but also the employees, their suppliers and their buyers. We must look at them holistically. And therefore, in monitoring, we monitor holistic the client. From a reward perspective, it must also be aligned with the thinking around how we monitor and breaking the silos. So how we reward the teams should be very much aligned to the fact that we're thinking the client. It's not about whether you're sitting in this business and you're thinking of the product. It should be around, you know, the whole customer overall. The rewards should also take in a long-term view. What we often do is reward people for the year and the revenue they'll get for the year. If we're thinking long term, it could be that one particular pocket of a solution will not give you the benefit in the immediate term, but if you think of it long term and recognize people for that long term view, we'll start to drive and get more benefits. If you look at where we're sitting, and if we're sitting with a client like a National Milling that's at 2.8% in terms of penetration, in terms of ecosystem or UFSO, and you start to think, where is the remainder 97% sitting? It's certainly sitting with another bank, and we need to make sure that we change. From a strategic alliance perspective, we need to make sure that the fintechs and the big techs that we're partnering with are actually aiming to deliver client needs. Often we run to fintechs and partner with fintechs based on their solutions. We need to be very clear what our customers are looking for. We need to make sure that we're driving ecosystems around our customers and make sure that the partnerships that we then go into from a strategic alliance perspective is all around delivering to the client. In addition, we need to just make sure that as we're looking at platform and becoming a platform player, we design for the universal bank and we design for the long-term view. So we're not designing for product silos.
Thank you very much.
We're designing
Well done.
for long-term view.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to compliment this team. I noticed something quite interesting. You notice their backgrounds have been consistent. Thank you for showing up with that identity. Nicely done. Kudos to you. Let's hear from Closer from the other side. Over to you. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much. Universal relationship. So currently, we look at it from two angles: strategic alliances, and we've had the likes of Probase, as mentioned by my colleagues, MTN, and be able to provide solutions for our customers. On the other side, we look at it from selling the bank to the customer. That is all the products that we have, so that we can cover the ecosystem, the employees of a company, and even the company itself as a corporate. Is this relevant going forward? Yes, it is, but with a slight shift that we need to think about, considering the platform business that is coming, starting next year. So as Sim Shabalala puts it, we are running a shop now, and we are going to start running more going forward, which is a platform. So there will be a shop of ours with our products that we'll be selling to our customers, but also we bring in other partners who will set up shops there so that we are able to attract our customers. And if you look at a mall, for example, what attracts customers to come to a mall? It is actually the shops that are at the mall and whether they are able to meet their needs in that locality. So universal relationships even become more important going forward in our platform business, because the partners that we bring onto our platform may determine how much traffic will come to our way. And we need to think about that seriously. The other thing that we need to think about is that right now in our strategic relationship, we sell the bank. In the future, in the platform business, we are going to be selling the platform itself. So there will be our products, yes, but there will be other players onto our platform. And as we are selling it to these customers that we are picking as strategic, we are selling the platform and the solutions that will come with other players that we are bringing in. And so we need to think about as well upskilling our people, and that mind shift from what we are doing now. Same strategy, but doing it a bit differently going forward. We think about training our people, as my colleagues have mentioned already. We need to think about the type of partners that we actually bring and whether they will be really strategic to us or not, and make sure that we get value out of that. There has been some good strides that have been made from some of the partners and the clients that we've looked at, as mentioned by my colleagues. And just to add, Coca-Cola and Zambo.
Thank you very much. I'm going to cut you there. Thank you very much. Nice presentation. I really take the point about leveraging the full potential of the platform. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go across and I'm going to ask the panel in a moment to just give us their feeling, which way they're swayed on that. One thing I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm noticing it I'm going to ask you to set your screen so that we see your full face. Let's see if we can just adjust as you engage. Tilt your monitor, have a look at yourselves, make sure that you show up, that we can see your full beauty. Macmillan, what a magnificent beard you have. You should be showcasing that. Alrighty, let's go across to the panel. I'd like to hear, Ngoza, from your point of view. I came to you at the beginning. I want to hear, what did you think? Are you swayed for prosecution? Are you swayed for defense? Let's have a listen. Ngoza, over to you. What was your verdict?
Thank you. My verdict is that I go with the antagonists. I do believe I've listened to the arguments of the CSTs that we hold, the discussions that we hold, etc. But I think at the end of the day, it's in the numbers. It's what is it exactly that is showing up in our numbers. We can discuss a Lafarge, a Coca-Cola, whichever company for many days and months on end. But if we're not able to bring in those accounts, I think it means our strategy is not working. So we've taken the good first steps in that we have the teams that are looking at these things, but I think the proof is in the pudding. So we need to get those accounts. So for now, I would say we are not there yet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have a listen. Mawindwa, your take. 30 seconds. Who you swayed to go with at the moment? I know I didn't ask the question on the first one. I'm going to hold that in mystery. Mawindwa, what's your take on this particular argument?
So very quickly, I think it goes to the antagonists as well. Basically, I think what swayed me is the link to culture. I think the reward system, how that then works, the link into the partnerships and what we do with the partnerships. On the other side, I think there's just need for clarity in terms of how do we then gel into the discussion of the platform business and move that forward. So I think in a nutshell, it's more or less looking at the pain points and basically to grow us as a business going forward. I think that would be my take.
Thank you very much, Mawindwa. Lena, your take. You've listened through and I've kept you for last before we move on to the next debate. What's your take, Lena?
I'm naturally inclined to the anti-antagonists because I really think that getting our UFSO strategy and journey resolved is really the key to our success in moving forward, because we've got such a big base and strong relationship with our corporate customers. And if we were to just mine that relationship, there's a lot more that we can get out of it. But I'm just worried that, and this is what I would like our takeaways to be, to clearly define what success looks like in a UFSO, because we mention names of the MTNs and the Lafarges and we kind of describe them as a success. But in my view, we have not been a success to them. And again, going with one of the earlier comments over 3%. So let's start by defining what success looks like. Let's start looking at some of the challenges that we feel are impeding us from actually getting into the UFSO space. We've mentioned culture. What about culture? What do we need to do about culture to make it a reality? But the starting point for me is, what does success look like? Success to me is, because that's what you drive towards. You drive towards achieving that particular target. So I think there's work to be done, and I think this is where our opportunity lies going forward. Thank you.
Dina, thank you very much. So name and want the product, get more specific, define it.